Hey there, everyone. Coach Patrick here from Endurance Nation. New year, new hat. I'm trying to stay warm here in my recording studio. I want to thank everybody for joining me for today's Coach Minute as I check in with you about core topics that are relevant for endurance athletes. If you recall, Endurance Nation is all about education, not just about the training, not just about the team and the camaraderie. We help endurance athletes reach their personal best potential through community, through coaching, through training plans, through workouts, through support. And part of that, and a huge part of that, is education, not only from the science and the data that lives out there and is evolving all the time, but also just from our own experience as a team as we move year to year, working incrementally, making key changes to our programs, to our approach, to our methodology to make sure that everyone's moving forward in a positive path. And since it's the new year, I thought I would talk a little bit about goals, but not just goals in the general sense. Today's topic is goals as stepping stones. All right. And the reason why I like to think about goals as stepping stones is a couple, and I'm going to cover them today. But more so than anything else is that I like the idea of working with athletes around the concept of goals as a means of progression. So we think about goals and people will say, what is your goal? My goal is to be faster. My goal is to be stronger. My goal is to complete this race. My goal is to do this thing for the first time. Whatever those goals are, people think about sort of that end state. And this is where people get a little confused because that's your outcome. And when people start talking to me about goals as like an achievement, like my goal is to finish this race or my goal is to achieve this thing, in a way, I almost want you to invert that for a second and not think about that as a goal, but think about that as a vision. So we have a vision for yourself as a finisher. We have a vision of yourself as an athlete who is 10 watts stronger, 10 seconds per mile faster, able to go 10 minutes longer at that same effort, right? Or able to take that half marathon speed and bring that closer to a half to an Ironman distance, for example, or half marathon speed to a half Ironman pace. When we think about that, that's your vision. So you have this end state that you've burned into your mind, that you've kind of had this combination of like longing for and the matching part of ability. So when we have a defined vision, the next step is to kind of figure out what the goals are. So the progression, vision, goals, staged goals, if you work through me. So that vision is that desired end state. When we close our eyes and we put ourselves in that future state position, what does it look like? Describe it, like everything, the smells, the sounds, the sights, like what is that? What are you doing? Where are you? What's happening? This is a powerful emotional moment, and a huge part to making sure that your goals are achievable is being able to see yourself in that position of success, okay, whatever that version of success is for you, all right? The next step is saying goals. What are the goals for that? And goals are really important simply because they're the pieces that we're going to use along the way to being successful. More on that later. So I really like the idea of goals as in my goal is to, lose weight, or my goal is to be stronger, or my goal is to be faster or whatever. And I get pushback on that from athletes because they want specificity. Coach, I don't want to be stronger. I want to be able to lift, 10-pound dumbbells instead of 5-pound dumbbells. I want to be able to push 285 watts instead of 281 watts, right? Those are benchmarks. So I'm talking goals. Athletes are talking benchmarks. And I prefer goals to benchmarks for a couple of reasons I'd like to outline for you. First, they're less binary. When you come up with a benchmark, like say ride at 250 watts, for example, on a trainer or your indoor trainer or your power meter or whatever that is, we ride at 250 watts. Every time you ride, you can look down at that computer and say, I am not riding at 250 watts, or I am riding at 250 watts. The specificity of that target, that benchmark, becomes really binary. You are either doing it or you are not doing it. And putting yourselves in that sort of black and white scenario is actually, while it's appealing mentally, it's emotionally stressful, and it doesn't yield better outcomes, right? So people will say, I want to be faster on marathon day. I want to run a certain pace on marathon day. And they'll set that pace, and then they'll try and run that pace because it becomes a benchmark as much as they can or faster in all of their training. But running faster isn't the way that we get stronger for that race. If you tell me you want to bench 180 pounds, you don't go out and put 190 pounds on the bar as much as you can and bench press that to get ready for 180 pounds. That's a recipe for disaster. Similarly, endurance training is also that same methodology, which is we have to progress to get there. So benchmarks can become binary. Binary thought processes can become detrimental to your overall progress. right? So we think about goals, not benchmarks. Another version is the adaptability of methods. So there's lots of different ways to achieve the goal that you want. Binary benchmarks really put you in a position where you're just lifting weights or you're just riding your bike. The only way to get stronger on my bike is to ride my bike at this effort. The only way to get faster on the run is to run these intervals at this speed. The only way to lose weight is to do this thing that I'm doing right now, like cutting carbohydrates or whatever it is that you're doing for your health, right? That again really narrows the focus of what's possible. It means taking your toolkit, which has a variety of resources inside of it, and leaving yourself only with a hammer. And you're like, this is the solution to my problem. All you're going to do run around all day is bang on things. That's not always the best way. That is a way. It is one way. It may be the easiest way. And when we get to binary elements, it's often the most easiest way to discern progress. It's not necessarily the best way for you. So choosing goals gives you adaptability of methods, and that's really, really important. The third and final point here is that rewards are better than expectations. So if you set a goal, for example, around a weight loss, say you wanted to lose 2 pounds by the end of the month, sounds reasonable to me. We've got 4 weeks, 2 pounds, 4 weeks, half a pound a week. Hey, I support that. That sounds, just about right. Okay. Well, we think about that. Your expectation is that at the end of the month, you'll be 2 pounds lighter, right? Well, if you're not 2 pounds lighter, then you failed to achieve what you thought you could do. And since you have set expectations that at the end of the month, you'll be there, that's unsuccessful. Whereas goals lend themselves more to rewards. My goal is to be 180 pounds. I may only get to 181. I'm pretty close. That's not too bad. I'm halfway there. I didn't get all the way there, but I'm halfway there. That's not too bad. What's my reward for getting there as a goal versus the penalty if I don't hit that benchmark? So it's all about the carrot and the sticks, and really get down to the deep side of motivations and what leads people to be successful over time. You really have to balance the ratio of carrot reward to stick punishment for athletes. While people say they want that strict talk and that hard pushback, more often than not, it doesn't always get the outcomes that people want. And this is one of those key reasons. All right. Okay. So last part here of today's talk, stage goals. If you remember, I said vision goals, stage goals, which is where I've been leading you this whole path, bringing you along a process myself. Stage goals are really critical because they are a progression and they build you forward. So if we said we want to, be 10 pounds lighter in that vision by the time we get to our race at the end of the season, then we have stage goals to get us to that process. So what's my goal for this quarter, for next quarter, for the third quarter, right? What's my goal as I move across this progression? Goals as default, as I mentioned, are sort of loose, which doesn't make people super happy, but they can also be effective, particularly if we stage them. Why? Well, first, they're building us to a vision. So if we say we want to be 10 pounds lighter, and we say our goal is to lose 3 pounds in each quarter, we know what that looks like. I have a goal. It's very short term. It's very doable. 3 pounds. Let's go. What am I going to do to achieve this goal? That allows people to regain control of the problem they're solving, and put them in a position to make positive decisions that will determine that outcome, right? Well, the next piece is that it's sequential. So it's 3 pounds now, then 3 pounds later, then another 3 pounds. So I can see where I'm headed. I can see that path to my vision. It's not just a mirage or something off in the distance that I'm not connected to. It's something I can see. I'm doing 1, 2, 3, and then I get my 4, right? So athletes understand that. We're appealing to that very fundamental building block. Explain it to me as though I am 5 mental aspect, where we get it. The work that I'm doing, which often resides sort of in that mental state of the 5-year-old, like work good, now work bad, right? Tantrum for not working out. You roll with me here. You know what I'm talking about. So when we think about that, being able to see that path, articulate that path in a very sort of simple and direct way, super effective, right? So stage goals really matter in that regard. And then finally, stage goals also give you opportunities for evaluation and reviewing the process itself. So if we say your goal is at the end of the season to be, 10 watts stronger, we want to be 2 watts stronger per month till we get there. Your goal is to get 2 watts stronger. You can stop at the end of each month and take a look at what you did, what worked, what didn't work. And since we're coming from that position of a goal and a positive mindset, we're making decisions that are going to allow us to be successful, as opposed to holding ourselves to critical benchmarks that are more often than not punishment or negatively oriented. Effective, they can be, don't get me wrong. But for the long term, if you're going to be in this game as long as I have since 2001, there's only so long that stick works before you don't like the stick anymore. So use the goal mindset. Really start with that vision, work to your goals. From the goals, go to your stage goals, construct those stage goals out across the season, check them with your teammates, check them with your coach, your advisor, whoever you work with. Make sure that the progression maps properly to what you're looking for, and then work your way towards some of those benchmarks that you want, but only after setting those goals. Goals are reward-oriented, positive tools that you can use to achieve your success when used properly. So let's go out there. Let's get some goals going. How does that sound? All right. Have a fantastic week, everyone. I hope to see you at our next live. Take care. Be safe. Stay healthy. I'll see you soon.